welcome to day 2 of the summit, the character summit. Today we have our friend Karen Delano, who is actually a family life coach, and the word simplicity is in front of that. So I'm going to have her describe that a little bit more and tell us a little bit more about what she does. I met Karen last year at an event, and I know that she's three young children of your own, don't you?
Yeah, although I actually have a teenager now. He had a birthday Friday, so my oldest is now 13.
Okay, so you have people in different ranges, which is really helpful for our conversation today because I feel like you're coming from many different experiences in parenting. So, Karen, welcome. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you do?
Yes. And so just to comment on the age thing, my other kids are 8, 10, and now 13.
Okay.
But I've been a preschool teacher for years and ran my own play school out of my home. And those kids were like, I don't know, 20 months to like 5 years old. So I've worked with a lot of kids, all different ages. And yeah, so I do have that whole range. And as far as the simplicity piece to go with the parenting, there's actually a book called Simplicity Parenting. And I found that book, I don't know, like 6 years ago, and it really made an impact on my own personal life and how I was doing things. And so I actually got certified to teach a course based off of the book.
Oh, very cool. I'll write that in the comments below so people can check out that book.
Yeah, it's a great book. And basically, it talks about how, in our modern day life, everything is so fast and so busy, and kids are exposed to like too much, too fast, too soon.
Okay.
And that really causes a lot of stress on kids. And their stress comes out in like behavior issues, if you will, right? Because they don't have any other psychological coping mechanisms, right? So it just makes sense that it would come out as some type of behavior challenge.
Awesome. So today, I love the title of your talk, and I've actually had a couple people reach out to me saying they were excited about this talk. It seems as though the talks that deal with challenging behaviors are a little bit more popular than others because a lot of us are experiencing that. So simplify your parenting and reduce your kids' challenging behaviors. And I'm going to kind of let you jump into it, but I wanted to tell you, I was just having a conversation at preschool drop off with a mom, and she was saying, when I can come up with a logical consequence when my child is making a bad choice, and I can come up with a consequence in my head and say to the child, oh, so sorry that you did that. Now this is going to have to happen. She's like, I can handle it in such a calm way, but sometimes I can't think of anything else as a consequence, like go to your room while there's toys in the room, or timeouts aren't really working for older children, and how much TV time can you really take away if they have limited TV time? So I wonder if that's something that you can kind of talk about, because I found that to be interesting, and I thought, I wonder if that's why I have my hard moments as a parent, because it does seem a little easier when you can handle it calmly because you know what the consequence is going to be.
Yeah, and I think actually it's interesting. I just did an online workshop 2 weekends ago about alternatives to punishment.
Okay.
Focusing on all those things and not needing to use timeouts, and really, more about teaching our kids what they should do, and then, what should they do when they make a not so good choice.
Because it is such a life skill. Like, okay, you do something wrong, there is a result. There is a negative result. And so that is kind of like the connection I want to make for my children. That's logical.
And I think too, though, we do need to think about, like, as adults, like, do we not try as many things because we're scared of making a mistake and something bad happening?
Good
right?
point.
Do we want our kids to only think something bad will happen, or they'll be punished if they, right? Because then that could limit new experiences and things that they try. So I think it's more about acknowledging things. We are going to make bad choices even as adults, right? So of course our kids are going to. So not making them feel bad for those things, but really focusing on giving them the skills to make better choices in the future.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah. So, teaching problem solving and, what can they do next? And then, if we want our kids to develop empathy over time, like we really need to treat our
Show
kids.
them empathy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. No, and we like to use the word problem solvers in the home because I want the kids to be able to figure things out. So we always say, can you be a problem solver? And that helps me to kind of give myself some time and space to think about, okay, what needs to happen now? Like, is this really something that they do need a consequence for, or are they just trying to figure something out? But I love that term problem solver. I think it's really empowering for a kid.
Yeah. And like you were just asking about like having a plan for the consequences. I think it's just that, like slowing down enough to think and like know how you want to act, which kind of goes into the whole piece we were going to talk about how you connect your values to how you interact with your kids.
Yes, let's jump into it. Sorry, I kind of got sidetracked by that parent, and I liked her feedback. So go ahead, let's jump into it. How do you want to act as a parent based on your values?
Yeah, so the first thing is you have to know what your values are and how you actually want to be as a parent, because everybody is so busy these days, and like you just get caught up in the day-to-day life and going here and there and signing up for this and that you just end up reacting to things and not really thinking through, like, why am I signing up for this? Like, how do I want to interact with my child? How do I want to talk to them? What do I want to teach them? So I think it's really important to slow down enough and have conversations in your family, first with your spouse or, any other adults in the house, and then talk to the kids and have your values in everyday conversation. Like, oh, in our family, we do it this way because we think it's important. And then beyond that, like living those values, right? So we're choosing to sign up for this, we're choosing to sign up for soccer because we think it's important to stay healthy and get exercise. Or, we think it's important to see our friends. And that allows us to do that.
Very cool. And I was sharing with someone yesterday, my husband and I did that. We sat down and we did this exercise that someone gave us. And I think you had to come up with like six values that were important to you. And then we combined and what was overlapping. Excuse me, that's one trouble with live video. And then what we did is we came up with like a value statement for our family, and all of our children know, like you can ask them the statement and they know that being a Dismondy is someone who works hard and who is kind and who has fun. I really like to have fun because sometimes I forget that when life is really busy and I'm not slowing down, I forget to have fun.
Oh, that's such a big one. But having that there and everybody can remind each other, like, remember, Mom, we're supposed to have fun. And it's like, oh, right. But
that's
have you ever thought of talking to your kids about your values? Like, that wouldn't be a piece of it.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. So let's kind of jump into, I love that. Simple ways to reduce the daily stress and behavior challenges.
Yeah. So, it's easy to have lots of stuff come into our lives and like lots of activities and commitments come into our lives, but it really makes parenting so much more difficult because it adds stress to us and it adds stress to our kids. So when I talk about simplifying, it's really, eliminating the things that take your time and energy away from what you want to be focused on. And a lot of times it looks like, reducing the amount of toys you might have around or clutter you might have around, or reducing the amount of activities so you actually have time to sit down and eat dinner with your family. Or I
like that one.
Yes. A big thing of how you can reduce stress for kids is setting up rhythms and routines. Because when they know what to expect and what comes next, it's very reassuring to them and reduces that stress. And it also builds in, a way they can have their own internal motivation to do things without somebody else telling them what to do.
Very cool. I liked seeing I think she was 7 at the time, but we were having a sleepover at the house, and I think it was her cousin was coming over, and my oldest daughter, she was creating an agenda, and she knew that term because we do family meetings. So she was creating an agenda for the sleepover, and like, what are we going to do at 6 o'clock? And what are we going to do? And I was like, oh, geez, I hope there's some room for flexibility in there. But we do the rhythms and the routines. And I will say that as a parent, I do feel pressure to keep up with the activities. And I've had someone say to me, oh, well, we noticed that you guys didn't go to, the family night at school. And I was like, we can't do every family night at school. We can't do every roller skating night at school. It's just not a good fit for our family. When we have too much, we're rushing around and no one's having fun. No. And I think part of what I'm finding from talking to friends is the fear of missing out. So they have this fear that if their children are not involved and they're not at these school activities, and trying out all these different sports and trying to figure out